In 1919, he hit 29 home runs and was sold to the New York Yankees.
A three-run home run for Buffington. The Yankees now lead it by a score of 3-2. Bill Lee is now going over to a couple of the Yankees, and there they go again.
Hits it to deep left. That might send the Yankees to the World Series.
Varitek and A-Rod going at it. Roberts is going. Posada's throw. Roberts safe.
And what can I say? Just tip my hat and call the Yankees my daddies.
Welcome to Fanbase, a deep dive into the greatest rivalry in sports. Episode 182. It is sort of like one of those emergency editions. Alex Bregman signs with the Red Sox, reportedly 3-year, $120 million with opt-outs, I think, after year 1 and 2. And it's a massive AAV, and we want to talk about it. So John Senecal, Brian Shackman here, of course. John, I'm a Sox fan, and I'm also a baseball fan. And we haven't pre-interviewed or anything on this, so just give me your hot take, and then I'll give you mine.
Well, it's interesting that, when pitchers and catchers show up at the spring training, how fast other players want to sign contracts, right, Brian?
Right.
It's turned around pretty quick. But, I look at this almost like I look at the Juan Soto, except, he has opt-outs, obviously, Bregman. He's chasing the money, he had longer contract offers from the Cubs and the Tigers, and obviously all along, early on, the Astros offered him a longer contract but less AAV. So it looks to me like he's chasing the money to me. But he's betting on himself. He's going to be 31 years old at the end of March, and if he plays out this contract with the Sox, he'll be going into his age 35 season to be a free agent. And we all know that that's down the way back end of careers now, and he might not actually really get much of a contract. So either way, it's a win-win for Alex Bregman.
I mean, how can it not be? I mean, you talk about how players, they want to scramble when spring training starts. How about the team? I think this is the Red Sox blinking. I mean, if it's true that no other offer averaged within $10 million a year, and they might have had longer durations, but still, it shows you a little desperation on the Red Sox part, and it doesn't necessarily fit in smoothly with the lineup in the sense that he's going to move to second base, and you're going to be paying $40 million. $40 million for a second baseman. And so you have kind of... Go ahead.
And it's on his terms to leave if he wants to leave, right? So you could be on the hook for $120 million guaranteed. But I'm scratching my head still on this, Brian, because you got a guy who plays Gold Glove caliber third base, and then you have a guy who's not a good third baseman, and now you're going to move this guy over to second. I don't know. I'm still scratching my head, and I think the Red Sox might not be done moving players here to make something work, but I don't know. I don't see spending $40 million on a guy and throwing him at second base just so you can make your third baseman happy.
It's kind of funny because a lot of people would argue that Trevor Story probably should be at second base too. It's like they have three people that aren't really at their natural positions necessarily, although Trevor does fine at short, but he had that arm issue. And so, I mean, Devers, I think Devers is going to go down, and I want to talk more about Bregman, but I think Devers will go down as one of the more overrated players in the Red Sox sort of history. Number one, because he is kind of a liability on defense, and number two, he brings nothing to the table leadership-wise, right? So he basically, all he is a hitter and a fan favorite. And to me, that's not worth the couple $100 million that you gave him. But and now that if he demands to stay at third and not go to first or DH, then it is a massive problem. But what I will say, and so do I think Bregman's worth the money? No, I don't. And do I remember when Adrian Beltre, who also had Boris, did a similar deal, and Beltre had a year that he was on that team, and I loved him, and I was actually quite devastated when they didn't re-sign him. I thought they really should have done it, and it turns out I was right because he went on to have several good years after he left Boston. But honestly, if Tristan Casas can play up to his potential, and you have Bregman at second, and you have Story, if he stays healthy, at short, and Devers at third, at least offensively, you have a really good infield, to be honest.
Yeah, you mentioned health, right? And the Red Sox still have a lot of questions, right? Because if you go down their lineup and say this is how they project, right? And you have Duran would lead off and he plays left field, right? But Duran is also a player that, coming off an all-star season, he's a question mark because you don't know if he's actually going to keep performing at the level that he did because he hasn't been in the league that long. You put Bregman at second, bat him second in front of Devers, who's playing third. Those guys are probably your most rock-solid batters in your whole lineup. If you come in with Trevor Story playing shortstop at batting fourth, that's a big question mark too. Can he stay healthy? Again, now you follow him with Cassis at first base. Can he stay healthy? Can he stay on the field? And will he do what he did 2 years ago? Then you go Abreu in right field and maybe Roman Anthony. Abreu coming off a great rookie year. Can he perform? Can Roman Anthony stay? DH Yoshida. Who knows with him? They might want to move him. Connor Wong at catcher. Great player. He's just going to stick because he's a catcher, right? He stays on the field. Is all he really has to do is stay on the field. And then you got Rafaela in center field, and honestly, he's probably more of a utility player if you could move him around. But still, a lot of questions in my opinion in that lineup, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's true. I mean, it doesn't make them a World Series contender, but I think that they're a better team than they were a year ago. And
absolutely.
So, and whether Bregman reuniting with Cora, of course, whether that makes a difference, I don't know. But I think that he'll be motivated. I think the bottom line is, despite the $40 million a year, if he has a good year, he might be able to get, I don't know, 5 for $150 or whatever, and I don't know if that's what motivates.
I don't know. I question his age, Brian. I really question his age. And, Major League Baseball they're trending so much younger now. I don't see a Major League Baseball team that a guy is going to be going into his 32-year-old season after this year, giving him, after what he went through this season, unless he absolutely breaks a big contract. So honestly, I feel like he's going to be sticking around in Boston as long as he doesn't get booed out of town.
Interesting. So you think he'll do the 3 years?
I mean, why not? I mean, you got to remember, Alex Bregman is not a player that's been in the league for 6 years and is coming on to his first free agency. The Astros locked him up and bought out a lot of his years, and he's coming off his first big contract with the Astros. So he's been in the league almost 10 years now. So he comes off of this contract with the Red Sox. He'll be going into his 14th year in Major League Baseball. That's a pretty darn good career.
Yeah, you're right. So maybe they just. Do you think he's? I mean, I honestly. Because he gets an AAV of 40, and you're so right, because he's probably not going to get a bigger contract after, and they must have just realized no one was going to give him 5 years. And so, but I don't understand why the Red Sox had to overpay. And this is the other issue I want to get into before we close it up, because it's a quick addition, is that, does this mean, if it's true that they're paying $10 million more a year for this guy, does that mean that Boris played them, or does it mean the Red Sox actually have to overpay right now to get someone to come?
Oh, boy, that is a really good question, Brian. I with the way Boris has been dealing with him and Alonso, and just in the last couple of years of Boris dealing with teams, I feel like he's kind of losing his polish a little bit. And the deals are just getting stranger and stranger with all the opt-outs and deferred money. I do think the Red Sox got a little desperate and overpaid, but again, it's like I still see them moving somebody. I don't see how this is a logical fit, keeping him at second base.
So you think they're going to? They're not going to trade Devers? I mean, what are they going to do?
No. I think they would try to move Yoshida and one of their rookies and one of their rookie stars.
For what though?
They could get bullpen. They could get another, a pitcher. I just don't see how they're going to take a player that's better than the player they have and keep him at second base. Plus, don't they have that younger player? Was it Campbell that can play second base that they're looking at coming up too?
I mean, finding decent second basemen, I don't think is that difficult in baseball. I mean, I feel like it's one of the easier positions to fill, to be honest with you. But I
mean, it's not a bad deal no matter what for the Red Sox, because they're going to get a player who's familiar with the coach, who have a good relationship. He's hitting in a park that's basically the same as the park he's been hitting in for his whole career.
Yeah.
Not much different. Wall's a little bit higher, but it's also a little bit shorter distance. It's pretty much the same park. They say he plays good at Fenway, but he's only played 21 games there. So,
John Senecal, Brian. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, reset here. We're episode 182 of Fan Base, a deep dive into the greatest rivalry in sports. John Senecal, Brian Shackman. My last comment here, and you can say what you want to close here, is that if it's true, some of the reports are that up to $30 million could be deferred. That means the Red Sox are officially into this deferred money culture, and I think it's a dangerous, slippery slope. I don't even know. Do the Yankees have any of this? Do they do? Are they all cash up front?
I mean, everybody's got some deferred money somewhere. I don't think people are going as crazy. Obviously, if the Dodgers did. but there's deferred money all over baseball. But I think they just keep their stuff very hush-hush. You know, I mean, look what happened with that Garrett Cole contract. He was going to leave, and then he just basically decided he was going to stay and not push the envelope. They keep things in house a lot, I feel like. So
I don't know how they're able to do that. I mean, I don't know.
It's a slippery slope with the deferred money. But I mean, if you're going to get Alex Bregman for 3 years and $120 million, I mean, that's really not that bad because the Red Sox aren't on the hook for a long contract. You know, and you can get 3 years out of him and round with that good rookie core coming up. He's a good guy to have around. Say what you want about him.
So you like it. You're net, you're positive. Net, you think it's a good deal for the
absolutely.
Sox.
If the Yankees would have signed him to play third base, I'd be happy as a clam.
For that amount.
For that contract, yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't mind it, but that comes very close to what Judge is making, right? And then you start talking about those comparisons.
No, that's good to know. I mean, I'm sort of torn. I think it speaks volumes that they had to overpay to get him. It speaks volumes that they're deferring money. It speaks volumes that they have a bit of a dysfunctional positional situation. But does it make the team better net? Yeah, it does. I mean, is Alex Bregman in that clubhouse going to be good? Especially when Devers is not a leader. I think that will be good. I'm a little bit shocked at the number. That's ultimately my take on the overall thing. John, thanks for hopping on and getting a quick episode in. John Senecal, Brian Shackman, you've been listening to Fanbase, a deep dive into the greatest rivalry in sports.